Take a seat wherever you like, friend. Our waitress will come to take your... Oh, not here to dine? Dare I hope that you're the adventurer Batteron sent word about? You are? The matron be praised. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mion, and the Carline Canopy is my place. With regard to the task in question, there's a fair bit to tell. Let me know when you're ready to hear the details, and I shall brief you. Ready for that briefing? Good. Now then, here's the long and short of it. Beg pardons for interrupting, Mion, but our need grows ever more pressing. Have none stepped forward? And good morrow to you too, Bowlord. Your need must be pressing indeed for you to honor us with a visit. The good news is your journey hasn't been wasted. I'm pleased to report that we have a volunteer at last, and one who comes highly recommended at that. My thanks for answering the call, friend. My name is Lewin, and I lead the men and women of the God's Quiver. Now, time is of the essence, so I shall proceed directly to the heart of the matter. We wish for you to nip a potential threat to Gridania in the bud. Beneath the central shroud, there lies an underground burial site called the Tamtara Deepcroft. The place was once a Gelmoran settlement, but we Gridanians have long interred our dead there. Of late, however, shadowy figures have been seen skulking about the Deepcroft, and with ever-increasing regularity. Based on the accounts of various witnesses, we suspect that these individuals belong to the Lambs of Dalamud, a doomsday cult which sprung up prior to the calamity. These zealots have proven themselves dangerous in the past, and we leave them to their own devices at our peril. Ordinarily, I would have dispatched my best men to scour the Deepcroft with orders to flush the cultists out. Alas, the calamity decimated our ranks, and the limited forces at my disposal are constantly required to keep the Ixal at bay. The birdmen have grown restless of late, and I fear a storm may be brewing. In anticipation of this, I have been compelled to spread our forces throughout the Twelveswood, lest we be taken unawares. The situation so being, we must turn to others to deal with the Lambs of Dalamud. Can we rely on you to undertake this task, friend? You have my gratitude. Once you've seen to your preparations, pray make your way to the Deepcroft and identify yourself to the guard posted at the entrance. He will apprise you of the situation. Be careful out there, you hear? May the crystal guide you and keep you. You're Arten, I take it? Thanks for helping us out, friend. No doubt the Bowlord has already informed you, but your task is to enter the Deepcroft and purge it of the Lambs of Dalamud. In case you're unfamiliar with them, the cult emerged shortly before the calamity put an end to the Sixth Astral Era. The cultists took the lesser moon Dalamud for their god, believing that it would deliver them from the devastation. And so they were rather disappointed when Dalamud exploded into 1,000 flaming pieces before it could complete its descent. Now, having seen their god turn to ash, one would think that the cultists might feel moved to question their faith. On the contrary, it served only to stoke the flames of their fanaticism. The Lambs of Dalamud are convinced that heretics, that is to say everyone but them, interfered with the coming of their Lord and Savior, and that it's now their sacred duty to avenge him. Whatever it is they're doing in the Deepcroft, you may be sure that no good will come of it. For the sake of Gridania and Eorzea at large, put an end to their madness. Welcome back, Arten. I'm reliably informed that your foray into the Deep Croft was a success, nor did I expect anything less. Bateron's ringing endorsement left me in little doubt as to your capabilities. Even so, you are to be commended. Lord Lewin asked me to pass on his thanks. I must say it's something of a relief to be able to call upon such a capable adventurer. Sadly, death has become an ever more common occurrence within our fraternity of late. Times being what they are, the Guild is constantly inundated with petitions, and we are hard-pressed to find enough hands to deal with them all. While this means no shortage of work for able souls such as yourself, it also provides ample opportunity for the inexperienced to overreach themselves, with predictable consequences. As if to illustrate the point. Avery's gone and it's all your fault. If it hadn't taken you an age to heal him, he would still be alive. But I tried. He bolted out of range before I could finish the spell. He shouldn't have been so hard-pressed in the first place. We should have done more to lighten his burden. Bah, to hells with this pathetic excuse for a party. I'm leaving, and it'd be too soon if I never see your faces again. Goodbye and good riddance. I'm leaving as well. I doubt this comes as any surprise, but I never liked you. I only suffered you for your healing, but you couldn't even do that one thing right. Oh, and by the way, some parting advice? Get rid of Avery's head, bury it, cremate it, do whatever the hells you like with it, but for God's sake, stop carrying it around. It's just get rid of it, alright? Wait, don't leave me alone, please. I'm so sorry, Avery. Please forgive me. Scenes like this have become all too common. That makes a dozen times in half as many days. Now you see why I'm grateful for adventurers of your experience. I can send men like you on a mission without worrying that you might not return. Well, not so much at any rate. Speaking of missions, I would entrust you with another. About a bell ago, I received a message from my counterpart in Uhhh. She seeks the services of a reliable adventurer, and you are nothing if not reliable. If you think you might be interested in this task, say the word. So, you're not averse to taking a little trip? Wonderful. As I mentioned earlier, the request comes to us from the Adventurers Guild in Uhhh. Once you arrive, seek out Momori, the proprietress of the quicksand. Think of her as the Sultanate's version of myself. Chances are she'll send you into the midst of danger, but I have every confidence that you will pull through unscathed. Now off you go, Arten, and good luck. Welcome to the quicksand, friend. I'm a tad busy right now, if you wouldn't mind showing yourself to... Judging by your determined expression, I take it you ain't here for ale. Are you called Arten Histrov by any chance? Mion sent word that you'd be reporting for duty. She also made a point of calling you the adventurer of the moment. That ain't no small praise coming from her. But you didn't come all the way here to listen to me prattle. Doubtless you're eager to get started, so let's talk business, shall we? The petitioner ought to be arriving any moment now. Gods almighty, another second under that sun and I would have been set afire. A tankard of ale, if you please. Excellent timing, Papa Sean. It just so happens the adventurer who'll be handling your petition is here. So this strapping young lad is the much-lauded adventurer, is he? Marvelous, marvelous. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, good sir. I am Papa Sean, formerly of the Sultan Sworn. I thank you for agreeing to lend us your aid. Mayhap you'd like to apprise Arten of his mission? Yes, of course. The petition in question was submitted by an acquaintance of mine at Imagina & Sons Mineral Concern. It relates to an unfortunate development at Copperbell Mines. To be plain, giants have seized control of the place. These giants are of the clan known as Hecatoncheires, fearsome creatures who were sealed within the deepest depths of the mines during the bygone Thorn dynasty. Alas, it seems they have managed to break through the layer of rock which served to imprison them, and now prowl the tunnels where the miners ply their trade. The creatures are justifiably angry about their treatment at the hands of our ancestors, and their presence has forced the suspension of all mining activities on the site. It's no wonder they're angry. Didn't the Thorn dynasty come to an end over 300 years ago? You know your history well, milady. People of that age used the Hecatoncheires to work their mines. By way of enchanted helms, they were able to bind the ferocious creatures to their will. But as is often the way of such tales, these enchantments eventually failed, and the slaves rose up against their masters. In a desperate bid to contain the unbridled fury of the Hecatoncheires, our ancestors induced the collapse of the mine's lowermost levels. So it was that the Great Giant Revolt was ended, buried beneath 100,000 tons of rock. Well now, that's got me thinking. I seem to recall there being an article about Copperbell in the Mithril Eye a fortnight or so ago. It said the mines were being reopened so as to meet the rising demand for building materials. Like as not, our boys dug a bit too deep and freed the giants. Gods, to think the poor creatures are still alive and kicking after 3 centuries. That's a long time to nurse a grudge. They must be seething. Indeed, and that makes them a danger to us all. There will be no mining at Copperbell so long as they remain. For the sake of both peace and prosperity, they must be subdued. I'll not deny that the mission will be rife with danger, but our need is great, and so I beg you, put an end to this sorry business. Gods bless you. I feared you might have reservations, but I assure you it is for the best. In any case you don't know, Copperbell mines are in western Thanalan. Do take care, you hear? And one last thing before you depart. An employee of Imagina & Sons is presently at the quicksand. The fellow's name is Painted Mesa, and he knows Copperbell mines well. It may behoove you to seek his counsel. Looking for Painted Mesa? You found him, so you're the adventurer who's volunteered to deal with the mess down in Copperbell, are you? You've got guts, mate. I just hope you got skills to go with them, because things ain't pretty down there. The Hecatoncheires left the place in a right state and nary a week after mining resumed. I don't know if you know this, but Copperbell was old when the Second Old Dynasty was still young, and it was abandoned centuries ago. If it hadn't been for the shortage of materials needed for the rebuilding effort, the concern would never have thought to reopen it. We knew full well about the giants beforehand, but the project went ahead anyway. I mean, nothing could possibly survive being buried under a mountain's worth of rock for 3 centuries, right? Wrong. Our miners dug up more than they bargained for. One swing of the pickaxe too many, and they found themselves in the company of giants. Unless we can subdue them, the nation's glorious recovery will grind to a halt for want of aught to build with. The stone torches are keeping watch over the entrance in case the giants fancy some sunlight and fresh air. One of them will be able to show you the way in. There's been an incident inside Copperbell mines. We are here to ensure that the effects are contained, but for your own safety, I suggest you stay well away from here. What? You're the adventurer who's volunteered to quell the Hecatoncheires? I didn't think that Papa Shan would be able to find someone so quickly, if at all. The giants are content to wreak havoc inside the mines for now, but it's only a matter of time before they think to come outside. The sooner you see to them, the better. Ah, the Conqueror of Copperbell returns. Thanks to you, our mining operations can resume, and Ul'dah will have the materials she needs to rebuild. The entire nation's in your debt, friend. I'll share the good tidings with Papashan the next time I see him. As for you, you'll want to report to Momodi. It'll do the woman well to see you alive and in one piece. Shut your mouth, you thieving little swine. You stole from me. Don't even think to deny it. Please, sir, I didn't steal nothing. I bought this, paid for it with me own coin. What rot! You refugees are all the same. Couldn't afford maggoty mole meat, much less a choice cut of dodo. I'm gonna say it one more time. Give back what you stole, or I'll make you wish you never set foot in this town. By rights, I should turn you over to the brass blades, you know, help keep the streets safe for law-abiding citizens. But I'm a reasonable man. If you agree to serve me in whatever capacity I require, the authorities needn't hear of your crime. But I ain't done nothing wrong. 12 is me witness. Please, adventurer, help me, I beg of ye. I swear on my mother's grave I didn't steal nothing. I bought this with the coin I'd saved. I only wanted to treat my children to a decent meal. And who the hells are you when you're at home? The dog's master? I've had enough of this mummer's farce. You lot, teach him a lesson. I'll take care of this, the rest of you can watch. Not bad for an adventurer. Ugh, I should have stopped at the 7th ale. Stop bloody gawping at me and give me a hand, will ya? Bugger, bugger, bugger! I ain't getting paid enough for this. Hey, where the hells do you think you're going? Thank ye, kind adventurer. Thank you thrice over. I'd swear there were more refugees than when last I looked. And you wouldn't be mistaken. But it's been 5 years since the calamity. Why are they only coming here now? It's simple, really. While a number of hamlets survived the immediate aftermath of the calamity, many were no longer able to support their communities. The residents found their lands had either been rendered barren or cut off from trade routes, and problems like those aren't easily solved. Though they tried to make the best of it, it was only a matter of time before they were forced to abandon their homes and seek a new life in the city. I see. But the calamity affected the whole realm, didn't it? Is the same thing happening in the other cities? If the talk is true, yes. Though perhaps our situation is more pronounced. Uhhh has a reputation for being prosperous, so it's natural that the refugees would try their luck here first. My heart goes out to them, it truly does, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't apprehensive. I hope their presence doesn't foment lawlessness in the city. Well, if things do take a turn for the worse, we always have the immortal flames. I dare say the brass blades would welcome their help. The heroes who fought the Garlean Empire, patrolling the streets for riffraff? It may well come to that. Impoverished and desperate as they are, you may be sure that some of the refugees will turn to crime. You know what this place is like. If you've no coin, you've no hope. What will become of our city? Not all refugees are bad, mind you. Some are able to find employment and lead honest lives. Dodo tenderloins, get your dodo tenderloins, guaranteed cheapest in Sultanate. Thank you for your custom, madam. Please come again. Looking around, you'd think that Uhhh was well on its way to recovery. But peer through the veil of prosperity, and you'll see no end to the misery and suffering. Sir, are you all right? What now? You mean to threaten a defenseless citizen? What? Saw her buy that meat, you say? That's absurd. Aye, as did I. Leave the poor woman alone, you damnable vulture. Who said that? Grrr, I will overlook this, but just this once. Gods bless ye, adventurer. If you hadn't come along when you did, who knows what that monster might have done. It don't bear thinking about. Ever the selfless hero, I see. It's been a while, adventurer. I've been watching you closely ever since you flew out of Limsa Laminsa. You discharged your duty as the Admiral's personal envoy with admirable humility, and you have displayed unfaltering courage in the face of danger ever since. Whensoever you came upon those in need, you gave them succor with no thought of personal gain. In summary, you have demonstrated all of the qualities we seek in an adventurer. For reasons I cannot well explain, your every deed seems invariably to serve the general good, whether you mean it to or not. It is a happy knack, and one which speaks volumes for your character. Yet for all your admirable qualities, it is your gift which intrigues me most. I speak of the visions you experience, visions like the one you had mere moments ago, if I am not mistaken. I can provide you with the means to understand them. An acquaintance of mine is blessed with the selfsame talent, you see. If you so desire, I can introduce you to her. She and I fight for a common cause, a cause which would greatly benefit for your support. If you would agree to lend us your strength, we would be glad to do all within our power to aid you in your personal endeavors. Think on my offer a while. Should you decide to accept it, pray speak with Momodi, the proprietress of the Quicksand, as a close friend and ally of ours. Inform her that you have been chosen by the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, and she will tell you where to find us. Scenes like that are becoming even more common, I'm afraid. Don't worry though, if you work hard, you'll probably be alright. Saying that, if you ever find yourself in a spot of bother, come and see me. Just don't go pestering me every time you graze your knee, eh? Of course, I do enjoy hearing tale of a gentleman's woes with the womenfolk from time to time. Ah, Arten, sorry to keep you waiting. I was just providing guidance to a fresh-off-the-carriage adventurer. But gods, it's good to see you safe and well. To look at you, no one would ever guess you'd been hard at it with the giants in the dark. You're every ilmly adventurer Mjoln said you'd be, Arten. The station master will be overjoyed when he hears the news. Oh, before I forget, there's a lass here who wants a word with you. Didn't actually know your name, but hearing her description, I knew who she meant right away. Thank you for sparing the time. I realize you don't know me, but I've been longing to speak with you for a while now. My name is Edda. I'm an adventurer like you, though I'm not very good at being one, if truth be told. Anyway, I was adventuring with my friends in Gridania when... I'm sorry, we were in Gridania when the leader of our party was killed. His name was Avery, and he and I were to be wed in the spring. You may not remember him, but to say that he remembered you would be an understatement. He would sing your praises from dawn to dusk. He saw you for what you are, you see, an adventurer's adventurer, and swore that he would be like you one day. I believe that he would have succeeded had a fiend not robbed him of the chance. Since that day I have thought long and hard about giving up adventuring. But when I think of the man you are, of all that you've achieved, I find that I am inspired, just as Avery once was. And so I've decided to start again as an adventurer. I will go back to the village of my birth and begin my training anew. But I wanted to meet you first, to ask you your name. Arten Istrov. I shan't forget. Thank you, Arten Istrov. I pray that we will meet again. Fare you well. Adventuring can be a cruel bleeding business. Time was I didn't know why anyone would bother. When they first asked me to take charge of the guild here, I didn't want aught to do with you lot. Thought it'd be a right pain in the arse. But against my better judgment, I decided to accept the post. And I'm full glad I did. I feel privileged to be a part of your lives. And that goes double for yours, Arten. Eh? What'd you say? You want to know about the scions of the Seventh Dawn? They're beginning to move in earnest, then. Listen, Arten, the scions ain't no ordinary folk, and the work they do ain't no ordinary work. I know full well how capable you are, but even you would think twice about attempting some of the stuff they do. Knowing that, if you're still certain you want to get involved, I'll tell you what I can.